Hi everybody, happy Monday. I'm so glad you guys are here today. It's a gorgeous day in Middle Tennessee, and by gorgeous I mean it's super overcast. And we might even get it like a rainstorm during the middle of the video. Hopefully we don't lose power. That's the beauty of live, you never really know. But it has been so crazy dry here in Tennessee, and so I think we have a week of rain coming up, and I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be super nice. So while I am normally all about sunshine and pretty much only sunshine, we need the rain really bad. So I'm excited that we're finally getting a rainy day. So welcome to our video. My name is Bev McCullough of Flamingo Toes. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today as we are sewing up our Meadowland quilt. I'll get out of the way. Meadowland quilt. That was weird. We are making this quilt up together in sections. So the first sewing week was the barn and silo, which is in the center of the quilt. And then last week we did the patchwork rows, which were really fun, very fun, just to sew the little pieces around and gives it a really fun, kind of farmy patchwork vibe. And this week we are doing the flower block rows, and there are 4 of those. They're made up of 3 little flowers, and this is what they look like. They're so cute. Aren't they fun, you guys? I'll go this way so you can actually see it. So this is the flower block row. Each row looks just like this, made up of 3 little flower blocks, and then there is some sashing in between and a sashing piece on each end, and it's pretty fast to sew up. You can do a lot of chain piecing. You guys know I'm a big advocate of chain piecing, and you can really have some fun playing with the colors and fabrics. I'm going to talk to you guys in a little bit about fabrics that I used, and I have a cool tip for you guys to alter. I'm altering the pressing instructions in one section to make it a little bit easier to piece. So grab your pencils and be ready for that. And it's not so much a correction, it's just more of like if you want to do it this way, this will save you a little bit of stress. So it's more that kind of thing. So let's see who's here. We have, I'm streaming live to both my Facebook group and my YouTube channel. This is our last sew along where I will be streaming both in Facebook and on YouTube. Facebook's making that trickier and trickier, so our next sew along, which kicks off at the end of July, will be only streamed on YouTube, but I'll make sure to put links in the Facebook group so that you can watch over there. And you can definitely, please, still share all your photos in the Facebook group. I am loving seeing all your cute barn blocks. You guys are amazing. I love it. Okay, so Janet's here, and Rhonda made it, yay, and Melissa. I'm so glad you guys are here. Darlene's here, and Lori from Douglas, Ontario, Canada. Hi, Lori. And over on YouTube, we have Trisha and Melanie. Donna's here, Sari's here, Maureen's here. Hey, Maureen. And Sherry's here. I'm glad you got to catch the live stream too. It's in a rainy day in Georgia too. It's actually not raining right this minute, but we've had it on and off all day, and we're supposed to the rest of the day, so that'll be really great. Dawn's here from Minnesota. Hey, Dawn. I was just about to ask you a question, Dawn. I'll email you my question. It was about kittens. I'll email it to you instead of ask on the live stream in front of everybody. Pam's here. Dawn says she's so excited to start the quilt. Thanks, Dawn. And Judy, Lisa, Lori, Bambi. Oh, we have lots of friends over on YouTube. Melanie's here. Heidi. Hey, Heidi, how's it in Texas? That sounds lovely. I love Texas. Okay, you guys, I'm super excited. Oh, Loretta's here from California, loving the barn block. Me too. Me too. I'm so glad you guys like it. It's a really fun one. And you can also see I have another pattern out that just came out with this Sweet Acres fabric collection, and it is part of this pillow over here. It is a barn and house table runner, and then there are 2 pillows that go with it called, with one of One of them is a barn pillow and one of them is a house pillow. And the pattern is called Homestead. And it's a really fun pattern. So if you're interested in that and you love barns, you can check that out too. It would be a cute mini quilt too. Oh, Jules is here and she hopes she gets rain in North Carolina. I hear you. Okay, so you guys, this is so fun. I'm really excited that you guys are all here. We are, as I said, sewing through the Meadowland quilt. This is week 3. I'm sewing in my Sweet Acres fabric collection, which is out in stores now. I have a link for you in the video description to shops that are carrying Sweet Acres and have the pattern and kits. I also have a link to the pattern in my shop. You don't have to sew along with Sweet Acres. You're welcome to. We would love it a lot. But you're welcome. We absolutely. We just want you to sew along with us. So feel free to grab from your stash, or if you have another collection that you really love, grab that and sew along too. We're certainly happy to have that. I do still have some of the Meadowland kits. So if you are just now finding the video and you fell in love with the flower blocks, look at all the other fun blocks you can make. You can order the kit from me, or again, you can check that list of shops that's carrying the fabric and kits. And if you are a shop that's watching and you're not on the list, let me know and I would be happy to add you. I also have a Meadowland cutting guide that goes along with the kit, if you're using Sweet Acres and you want to make yours exactly as shown. And it just basically says, like, for each section what prints to use. So it kind of just helps you. Sometimes it's really hard to see from the pattern cover exactly which print is being used, and this helps you a little bit know which prints to use where. So I did have a question from a gal that just bought the kit, and so I am asking our community here and see if you guys can help me out. She is wanting to starch the fabrics first and then cut them out, and so she's a big starcher, and I am not a starcher. I like to use a little bit of starch when I sew up my blocks, but I don't starch my fabrics ahead of time. So has anyone here in the group starched their fabrics first? Does it look like you're going to have plenty of fabric? Any feedback you guys have about the starching question would be great, so I can get back to her and help her out. Oh, Linda's here from Michigan. Hey, Linda. Nice. And Pam's here. Oh, Pam said it would look awesome in any fabric. Oh my gosh, that's very, very sweet. Dawn says she loves the cutting guide so much. Okay, good. I'm glad, Dawn. I'm going to be doing that for all sew-alongs here on out. I will have a cutting guide for you guys to make it even easier for you to tell what fabrics to use where. Yay. And Pamela says she loves barns and table runners. I'm so glad. Nancy says she starched. Pamela starched. Okay, so you guys starched ahead of time and it looks like you'll be good on fabric. That's reassuring. I will let her know that some of you guys starched and you should be good. I know we haven't cut the entire thing out yet, but I just wanted to let her know. Melissa says she lightly spray starch. That works to just spray and iron. That's what I do, Melissa. I just do a spray starch as I go. So, all right, let's talk about a couple other things that are going on before we get into sewing. I am sewing along with the Fat Quarter Shop Mystery Quilt along. It's every year they do they do several mystery quilts, but they do 2 specifically in the summer. In June, typically in June, it is a Halloween mystery quilt. And in July, it's a Christmas mystery quilt. And I have so much fun sewing along with those. So this year, I'm really excited to be joining in with the Halloween mystery quilt with my Haunted Adventure fabrics, which are in stores now as well. And so last week was the first week, right? No, week before last, we're kind of ahead. Tomorrow is the 3rd block. So the first block was out a couple weeks ago, and it was a really cute moon and with a bat in it and then some stars. And then last week's block was adorable, you guys. So cute. Look at this cute block. Isn't it fun? This was the kitty block. And if you look on Instagram and search the hashtag, it's in my post, so you can just click on it if you want on Instagram. There are so many cute variations of this kitty. So I tweaked mine just a little bit and I added a collar on the pattern. The entire cat is one print. So I added a collar. There were a lot of people that added corners to these blocks to give the kitty more of a rounded tail. Some flipped the tail and put it on the other side. And some people even appliqued cute little eyes on the cat or bows or different things like that. So I thought I was being super rogue adding a collar to mine, but I was just one of the very mild alterations to the pattern. So this is really fun and she cute. So this is the Haunted Adventure fabrics. And I'm using for the background, I have a background fabric that has tiny, tiny little stars on it. So that's what I'm using for my background fabric. And then for the main fabric of the cat, I used my skeleton flamingos. Aren't they cute? And then this is actually a kitty fabric, but I just thought she needed a little floral collar. This is all part of Haunted Adventure as well. And speaking of skeleton flamingos, I gave a sneak peek in my stories. So if you're following me on Instagram, I'm at Flamingo Toes, and my Facebook page is Flamingo Toes as well. If you check out my stories, you can see the 2 new Haunted Adventure needle minders that are releasing at the end of the week. So after our video's done, go check out my stories and see what those are, and let me know what you think. I would love to know. So this is a free mystery sew along. You don't know what's coming up. So it's really, really fun to sew along with. Tomorrow is the last block in the mini quilt, and then the week after that, we will put them all together in the big finale finish, and they'll release the layout. So it's really fun. I can't wait for you guys to see tomorrow's block. It's adorable. They're all adorable. So that's the Haunted, it's called Haunted Halloween Mystery Quilt, and it's run by Fat Quarter Shop. So that is going on. Then the other thing I want to tell you guys about is I have several teaching events coming up, and I would love, love, love for you to join me. I've linked in today's video description, and I'm just going to leave it in the video description from now on so you guys can access it at any time. But it's a page on my website that has upcoming events where you can come and sew with me and take a class with me and hang out with me. I would love it. So coming up in August, I'm going to be at Stitch in Heaven in Texas. I'm very excited to be at their retreat center. It is August 9th through the 13th, and we are actually going to be making up the Meadowland quilt. So if you're just watching and not sewing along, or if you want to make another version of the Meadowland quilt, maybe this time you're sewing with Sweet Acres and you want to make another version out of a different fabric, or vice versa. Maybe this summer you want to make it with me out of Sweet Acres fabrics. I would love that. You can still register. It says on the website registration by June 15th, but there are still a few spots left. So go ahead and click all that out and fill it out and come sew with me in Texas in August. I would love it. I'll also be at Garden of Quilts in September. That is in Utah. It is an amazing, amazing quilt show / classes. I mean, it's just the best time, you guys. It's put on by Riley Blake, but it's not just for Riley Blake designers. They bring in teachers from all sorts of different fields and fabric companies and things like that. I'll be teaching 3 classes there. So if you head to my teaching and events page, you can see the 3 different classes. 2 of them are quilting classes and 1 is an embroidery class. And I'm also joining in with Christopher Thompson and Amanda Niederhauser, and we are putting on the Icebreaker Dinner on Wednesday and Thursday nights. And that is a game show that is a quilty game show, and with the 3 of us, how could it not be fun, right? So that is in September, and then next March, if you're feeling like you need a little bit of sun, come join me on a quilting cruise. I will be cruising on the Royal Caribbean with Stitch in Heaven, and Amanda Niederhauser will be there for that. We are going to be sewing up, we each are teaching a quilt class. So mine is my Pixel Flamingo quilt, which is perfect for a cruise, right? And hers is, I can't remember what her quilt is called, but you can check out that page on the on my teaching and events page too. I would love for you guys to come on the cruise with me. We are very excited about that. So come sew with me and just hang out. The retreat in August is just going to be a blast because it's like 4 days. The retreat center is gorgeous and brand new. There's their food, and you get all kinds of cool, you get 2 meals, and you get to stay in the retreat center, and you get like a really awesome swag bag, and it's going to be super fun. So come hang out with me. Oh, yay. I'm so glad. Melissa says she saw the story. She's very excited about the new needle minders. That's awesome. And Dorothy says she's excited for the Garden of Quilts. She's taking the class with me and Amanda. We're teaching a table runner class. I'm so glad you're coming, Dorothy. That's awesome. Janice says, how fun a quilting cruise. Yes, you should come, Janice. It's going to be awesome. Laura said, for the kitty block, Pat Sloan changed the tail. She did. She did a great job. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like that. Pamela said she was going to just cross stitch the Haunted Halloween mystery pattern, but got caught up in the cute blocks for the quilt, and she's printing and will begin after it's all revealed. Yay! That's awesome. That's awesome. And Nancy said, always love the flamingos and sounds great. Yay! Oh, I'm so glad, you guys. It's going to be really, really fun. Donna says she had to switch to Facebook because she couldn't comment on YouTube. That's so weird, Donna. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why that would be. I have other comments over there, so I'm not sure what's going on. Sorry about that. I'm glad it worked out for you. Okay, so let's talk about giveaways. You guys know every week I do a giveaway. It's just my way of saying thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate your time with me, and I love hanging out with you guys. So this last week, we had a fun giveaway. The giveaways are super easy to enter. All you have to do is leave a comment on the video, and that's whether you're watching live or later in the week, and it's Facebook or YouTube. Either is great. And I gather up all the names at the end of the week, like Monday before the next video, and I just draw the random winner. So it's really fun, and it's just my way of saying thank you guys. And, oh, Beth says she's checking out the cruise now. Yay, Beth, come with us. It's going to be great. So, last week's giveaway was a really fun one. And speaking of Haunted Adventure, it was a Haunted Adventure giveaway. So, I have for our winner, I have a 10-inch stacker of Haunted Adventure. I have all this in my fabric, in my shop. I have pre-cuts. I don't have yardage. You can find yardage at Fat Quarter Shop and a lot of other shops. So, Haunted Adventure is a really fun Halloween collection. Here are the colors. Let's see if I can get you that without the glare. I have my ceiling fan on, so it's giving me a bit of a glare. There, that's better. So there's cute little campers that are all decked out for Halloween, but there's also spider webs, black cats, cute little crows, flamingos that are skeletons, and some really fun blender prints that are tiny little prints, these little pennants, and then of course we had to have a bias stripe, right? So perfect for Halloween. So this is Haunted Adventure. I have a 10-inch stacker. And then one of my new patterns that goes with this collection perfectly is called Fall in Love. And it is a really cute, uses a dark background. This is the black print from Haunted Adventure, this cute little tiny black print with the little stars on it. And it's got little falling leaves and hearts and pinwheels, and then some cute little pumpkins. Those are really fun. And then I also have for you a Halloween needle minder. So this is our little haunted truck, and there's a spider web and a little star and a pumpkin, a cat, some potion books, and a cauldron, and a little broom on the end. There you go. Now you can see it. And if you already have this needle minder, then I'll let you pick any other little needle minder. And our winner this week is Roxana Flint. Roxana, I haven't seen Roxana's name, but Roxana, if you are watching, send me an email, bev@flamingotoes.com, and I will send you your prize this week. Congratulations. Always remember that if you are commenting in order to win the prize, you want to check the next week and make sure you win, because I don't really have your email addresses or anything, so I need you to contact me if you're a winner. So Roxana Flint, you're a winner for this week. Definitely have fun with those fabrics. So I have a really cool kit for you guys this week. So every year Riley Blake Designs does a little program of the month, and a couple years ago, or last year, it was a mini quilt. This year they're bench pillows, and I've actually been working on the 3 they've released so far this year, and I can't wait to show you guys those. So you can check with quilt shops and see. It's a little bit hard to find the older ones, but you can definitely still find shops that are selling the kit programs for this year. If you want to check out the bench pillows for this year, they're you can check out Happy Little Stitch Shop because I know she still has some subscriptions. And what it is 12 different Riley Blake designers designed one project a month, and it was kind of based on the theme. So this was January's mini quilt from last year, and let me show you guys this. It's so beautiful. Look at this. It's designed by Amy Smart, and it's called Star Bright. This was actually the January kit for last year's mini quilt, but I think it would be perfect for patriotic fabrics too. And the pattern is included with all the fabric, so you could easily make it up as a baby quilt or as a patriotic quilt or a Christmas quilt. I mean, it's just the perfect pattern, right? So this is the Star Bright quilt, and again, designed by Amy Smart. It's really very cool. And in here is, oh, there's a picture of it all laid out. Isn't that a beautiful star with a pinwheel in the center? So in here is the pattern, you can see, and the kit includes this gorgeous fabric. These are Riley Blake Designs basics. So this gorgeous fabric, look how cute this is, you guys. And this really pretty navy. Look, isn't that just a beautiful bundle? So this includes everything to make, so the table topper, pattern, and fabric for quilt top and binding. And you can see some of the different ones from last year. Again, these are all last year, but I bought this kit for you guys, and I thought you might like it. So again, this is the Star Bright kit, and this is this week's giveaway. Everything you need to make the top, you'll just need backing and batting. So easy peasy, right? All right, and you can put it out in February or January, you can put it out in December, you can put it out in June and July. It's very versatile. So that is this week's prize. If you would like to enter to win, all you have to do is leave a comment on the video and you'll be set. I'll draw the winner and announce the name next week. So that is this week's. Donna says beautiful fabrics. I agree, Donna. I think it's really pretty. Okay, are you guys ready to sew? Let's sew. I have to pull over my little mat and get all of our things set up and ready to go. So we are making up this cute little block set in the quilt. And let me show you guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about where these go. So these are the flower block rows. There are 4 in the quilt, and one on each side. So what I did is I made the exact same row and I just turned it each direction depending upon, front. So you can see I started out with the floral, the cute little cross stitch is in the center, and then the tiny lighter pink was on the far right. And this is in the exact same order, just turned 90 degrees, 180 degrees, etc. So it's the same row. You only have to make the row one type. Now, that's the way I did it. You definitely can play with your fabrics. If you want your flowers to be more scattered and patchworky, you don't have to do each row the way that I did it. I just did it that way for easy layout, and I like the symmetry of it. But I know it would look really cute if you changed it up too. Maybe on this one, the redder flower is on the end, and you kind of change out where your pinks are and things like that. So feel free to get creative. Even if you're using the kit, you can get creative that way with how your little flowers are laid out. Sorry. Oh, thanks. I'm so glad you guys like the fabrics. That's awesome. So what we're doing is we are going to make up 4 of these little rows. And some of you have already started assembling your quilts in that you sewed the patchwork to the barn block, and that's great. I love that. It looks so cute. The sashing between the barn and the patchwork blocks is built into the barn block, so that's already on there. There is sashing that is between the flower rows and the patchwork rows. So if you're wanting to assemble your quilt as you go, you're going to need to skip ahead to page, you don't have to do this, but if you're getting eager, to page 9 to get the cutting and piecing information for that sashing that is between the patchwork rows and the flower block rows. Now, we haven't made the corner ones either, so you'll probably want to wait a little bit at this point before like continuing to assemble. Again, that's totally up to you guys, but you'll just know, don't just sew your flower box straight on the top side of your patchwork rows because they won't line up perfectly. And we'll talk more about that next week when we do our flower basket blocks. So those are at the corners of each, those are the little yellow blocks that are at the corner of each of the flower block rows. So we'll talk more about that then. Oh, Nancy said, back to our table topper, Nancy said the first quilt she made was an Amy Smart pattern. She writes great patterns, doesn't she? I love her. She's amazing. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through sewing up one of these flower blocks. They are all made the exact same way, just with different fabrics, and then the sashing is used to sew them together. So let's get sewing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to start by sewing together the center portion of our quilt, which is this little section right here. So we're going to take a piece that goes in the center. All the cutting information is in the pattern book. To sew along with us, you do have to purchase the pattern or the kit so that you have the instructions so you know what sizes to cut everything. And again, that's linked in today's video description. So we're going to use this center piece here. If you have a little bit of extra fabric, feel free to fussy cut your cute little vases or whatever. Maybe you want to put an animal in there. There's no pink animals, but you know, go crazy. And then you're going to need 4 pieces of this little red stripe print. I have more than 4 here. I got super eager. And then you are also going to need some sashing. And this is the A piece, the B print pieces, and these are the E sashing pieces, the background pieces. Okay, so let's go over to the sewing machine. I do believe we have sound this week, but again, live, and I have the comments over there, so if there's a problem, you guys can let me know right away, but I do believe I fixed the sound. I'm sorry about the sound last week in our patchwork sewing section. So let's go sew. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, you let me know if you guys can't hear, okay? All right, I just want to make sure that I have the comments set up and ready. Okay, so what we're going to do is, according to the pattern, I have you sew these 2 pieces on either side, and then sew together the remaining 2 with the little patchwork pieces, the print pieces, but we are going to do it all at once. So I'm going to lay this out for you so that you can see how I'm doing this. So I'm going to put the background pieces on either side, just like it shows in the pattern booklet. Oh, Lori says she can hear this week. Yay, Lori! And I'm going to basically create a 9-patch effect with our blocks. So this is what the center layout of the flower looks like. So these are our background pieces, these are our cute print pieces, and then this is our center piece, okay? So we're gonna sew this together all in one little group, and the reason I like to do it this way, you can definitely follow the instructions and sew these together, and then piece it, that's fine. But I like to make sure that I have the right fabrics with the right center piece, and I can sew it all up at once. So I am just going to take this, put these right sides together, and we're going to sew. So I'm not going to clip my threads, I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to turn my next 2 pieces right sides together, and we're going to sew. And then we're going to do the same thing with these last 2 pieces. So these are the first 2 columns, 1, 2, and 3 rows. I get my columns and my rows kind of mixed up sometimes when I'm showing you guys these. So now I've sewn all 3 of those, and I can clip my fabrics, clip my thread. Don't clip your fabrics. So now I'm going to open these up, and you can see these are all sewn together. The first 2 blocks, the first 2 units of each row. So now we're just going to take the last column and we're going to sew these in place. So I've sewn the first one, leaving my thread uncut. I'm going to put the last little background piece on, making sure it's straight. This is faster, but we also don't want to get messy by where our placement is, because then, especially on little pieces like this, our block alignment can get shifted. The smaller the piece, the more accurate you have to be when you are sewing it, because you just don't have the room to play with having your piece be off. The piece is so small to begin with. So we want to make sure when we're laying these on, even though we're kind of speeding up our process, that we are laying them on straight and accurately. So now we have, you can see we have all 3 of our rows sewn together, and they're also held in place by those little chain threads, so that we can make sure when we sew that together, you know, our rows in place, that we're sewing them in the right place. So let's go press these. Okay, so I'm so glad that the sound was better this week. So here we are, we're going to press these. The iron turned off on me, so we're just gonna wait 1 second. I am going to turn these upside down, and we are going to, I'm just gonna do a little shot of spray here. This is the flatter. This is by Soak, and it is just a very light starch, and it smells really, really good. So we want to press these opposite. So I'm going to press the outer 2 rows towards the sides, and then I'm going to press the inner piece in towards the center. So that will make our blocks, our rows, nest together really, really well when we go to sew the rows together. So it makes it super easy. Even though those little chain piecing things are holding it in place, you can just run your iron down. I did catch the corner of that one. You can just run your iron down the rows and make sure that the seams are held in place the way they're supposed to be. Ingrid's here. Hey Ingrid, glad you're here. Dolores, hi Dolores. Dawn said pink flamingo in the center. Yes, except there's no flamingos in Sweet Acres. I can't put a flamingo in every fabric collection. That would be problematic, don't you think? I think everybody would get a little tired of flamingos. So now we've pressed our first, second, and third rows. The seams are pressed opposite, so here they go towards the print fabric. In the center they go towards the print fabric. So when we turn these over and we sew these side seams in place, they'll nest really nicely. So let's go do that. Okay, so you can see here that I've got the seams nested pretty well. I'm not going to pin this. This is a pretty small section here. So I'm just using my thumb and finger on the front and back of the fabrics to make sure that those seams are nested as well as they can be. And I know that these are the right, you know, the first row sews to the second because I've got those little web chain threads holding it in place. So let me sew this one. And it does say in the pattern, but I'll remind you guys, all of our seams are 1/4 inch seams. And it really does help to have a 1/4 inch foot on your machine to rely on, or you can use seam allowance tape, that kind of thing, if that is more your preference. So I've sewn the first row to the second row, and then when you open up, you can see how cute that looks and that we did a pretty good job nesting those seams together. So yay for that. Then all we have to do is flip the third row up on, make sure it's nested well, and sew that in place. And you can double check and make sure as you're going. If you need to stop and make sure that that seam is still nested, you can kind of stop yourself and just double check. So you want them to be as well nested as you can get them, but you also don't want to freak out if they're not perfect. Because really, who wants to be perfect? So here is our cute little center of our flower all sewn together, and now all we have to do is press. And we're going to press these seams in towards the center. I'm not going to clip those chain threads because we are pressing in towards the center. If you are going to press your seams open, you will want to go ahead and clip those little chain threads before you press, because you won't have left them enough room to be pressed open if you don't. So I just pressed on the wrong side. I'm going to give this just another spray of starch, and then we're going to press from the top side. And there is our cute little center block. Isn't it fun? Okay, so now we will go on to I think we're doing, let me look. Yes. I left the pattern over there, y'all. Okay, so we're going to do the petals. So I am you'll need 4 of these petals for each flower. I do believe on the guide it says, on the first section it says for the flower centers, then it says for the flower accents, and then on the second row it says flower centers. Cross that out, that should say flower petals. I'm going to fix it after and re-upload the cutting guide for you guys. But the fabrics that go on the outside, if it has this print in the cutting guide, that's the flower petals, not the flower center. Okay, sorry y'all about that, y'all. Hey Colleen, she got the barn and silo done. Yay, that's awesome. Okay, so we're going to take our little cute petals. So what you can do is, if you don't have a laser on your sewing machine, I'm going to put that over here. You want to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of your background fabrics. And you're just going to go from corner to corner here, just like that. I'll show you guys a close-up because it's a little bit hard to see. I'll do it nice and dark. So you're going to have 2 background pieces per petal, so a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 per flower, and then you're going to obviously do this times 4. So there's our cute little diagonal line. So on the petal, they're going to go at opposite directions of each other. So the diagonal line goes here on the left side, and on the right side it goes like that. I'll hold this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. Obviously we don't want to sew that one on like that, but there you get the gist of the diagonal line. So what we're going to do is, because we're not making half square triangles, we're sewing on the line. I'm going to go to the machine and we're going to sew on those 2 lines. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a close-up here again, these are our 2 lines, and we are going to sew on each of those lines. So I'm going to lay this down and make sure that I have the background fabric lined up really well with the print fabric. It really helps once you've trimmed and pressed for that background piece to be perfectly aligned with the print fabric, if you have it lined up as well as possible with it before you sew. So we're going to sew on that marked line. Now I'm sewing on a Baby Lock Crescendo, and it has this handy dandy little laser here. I think you guys can see it's a red line. And so when I'm sewing, not for teaching, but just for sewing, I don't mark these stitch and flips, because this line shows me where I am going to sew, because I can just put the red line on top of the corner there and stitch. The only time I will draw that line is if it's bigger than, like, say 3 or 4 inches, because if it's all the way down here, then my line doesn't go any farther than right here. Right here. I'll show you with the other hand. So now I'm going to sew on the other side. I did cut the thread in between just to make it so that it doesn't pull. And here is our cute little one of our petals. So I've sewn on each of those marked lines. Now we're going to go trim 1/4 of an inch away from that marked line and our seam, and then we're going to press these open. Okay, so here is where we're going to run into my little tip for the day. I mean, I have lots of tips for you guys, right? But we're going to run into my little tip for the day on making this a little bit different than I have it shown in the pattern. So I'm going to shimmy this around because I keep running into my wool mat. I'm going to trim these 2 at a time. I like to do this on when I have something like this where I've got 2 corners that will fit beneath my ruler. I do make sure my fingertips are back from the edge. You don't ever want to hold a ruler and cut this way, because when you go to cut that direction, you're going to cut the tips of your fingers off, and that is very, very unpleasant. So safety first, y'all. So we're going to cut our 2 corners off. I've put this dashed line on top of the marked line, so I know that I have 1/4 of an inch away. If you don't have a marked seam line but on your ruler, just measure, you'll have markings that are of 1/4 of an inch. So just put those 1/4 of an inch away markings on there. And we're going to go ahead and take these off. So my tip for the day is, in the pattern it says to press towards the background fabric, but if you want to nest your petals together with the leaves, because the petals and the leaves are going to line up like right here, here, here. If you want those to nest together, these seams and these seams, instead of pressing towards the background fabric, you're going to press towards the print fabric. So on the petals only, not the leaves, you're going to press towards the print fabric. Now again, I tested all these blocks, and when I first, of course I did when I was writing the pattern, but when I made it up initially, I did it the other way. I pressed out, and the seams all still went perfectly together, but this will allow those seams to nest a little bit easier. So if it's really, really important for you not to have a problem lining up those background fabric pieces, then press towards the print fabric. So just make a little bit of a note on your pattern if you want to change the arrows. The pressing instructions are in the pattern if you want to change that. And I actually before I was teaching today, I pressed these and I forgot my own note. So we're just going to press these to the print size. We're going to reverse what I did in my prep, which takes about 2 seconds, so that's nice. They're not ginormous seams. I'm really just pressing away on those. I was kind of ironing. Okay, we're just flipping these. And it wouldn't have been the end of the world to sew them up the other way, of course, but pressing, and I like to press on the wrong side and the right side because I feel like it gives the block a little bit more security in the seam. It just tightens everything up a little bit. It makes it look a little bit flatter and cleaner by pressing front and back. So wrong side and then right side. I don't always do that exactly the same way, but I like to as much as I can. So now we're going to do the leaf blocks, and I have gone ahead and done 4 of these already, and the leaf blocks are so cute. And I recommend in the pattern, and again, if you're sewing with your own fabric, you don't have to worry too much about directional fabrics here, but if you want to pay attention to the directional fabrics, then you'll want to pay attention to, I have these flipped, for how the corners are sewn on here. Now, if you don't care too much about the directional fabrics, because really once the corners are sewn on, you can't really tell on some of these pieces that this is a little cross stitch barn, right? But if it is important to you, then look at the pattern as you're sewing, lay out your leaf pieces, and then go ahead and decide how your leaf pieces are going to lay, and then lay your background pieces in place on them so that when you go to sew, you know what corners to sew. Does that make sense? If you want all of your little barn blocks to be facing up, facing the same direction. Again, you're going to turn each row. So if it's not important to you, then let that go. You have complete freedom to just go crazy with your barn blocks. But if you want to have them all be facing up, now is the time to decide before you sew these little background pieces on. So you can see here on the finished block, all of my little barns are facing up, and I just took the time to be careful about where my little snowballed corners are so that I know that when I go to sew the block together, I can make sure that my little barns are facing up. Okay. So now I am going to do the exact same thing. I already have 3 of these done, but I'm going to do the same thing that we did. We're just snowballing the corners, or stitch and flip, same term, and we're going to sew on the marked line. I didn't mark the lines, but we'll do that now. So here is the direction we're going here, and this is the direction on this one. You wouldn't ever go the other way because there would be nothing to like cut and flip. But those are the 2 directions of the little, this last little leaf block that I need to do. So let's go sew those together. Okay, so again, here's our cute little piece, and I'm going to sew on one side, cut my thread, and go to the other side and sew. And the same principle holds as with the petals. You want to make sure that your background piece is lined up really well on your print piece so that when you stitch and then flip and you press it open, that it will lay nicely and you'll have a nice corner. So we're going to sew on that line there and cut my threads. Teresa says she loves that I give pressing directions. Some don't have them, and it's so frustrating to find out when you're putting rows together the blocks were pressed wrong and not nesting. I understand, Teresa. I have some of my earlier patterns. I need to go back and add that in because I agree with you. It's just a lot nicer as you're laying it together to kind of go, oh, okay, so this melds better if you press it this direction than if you press it the other way. So I totally understand. Pamela says that she was thinking that the barn, silo, and patchwork blocks make a great size for a table topper, and the flowers in a row would make a cute table runner with a pinwheel at the ends. I love that, Pamela. That's such a great idea. So cute. And Janice says she likes tossed fabric so she doesn't have to worry about placement. I get that too, Janice. Okay, so I have sewn the 2 corners there, and we're going to go ahead and trim these off. So we're going to trim these up, and I'm again putting my little dashed line on the seam, and I'm going to clip that little corner off on each side of our sewn line. Okay, so here is our little block, and we're going to press those open. Now for these, you're going to keep the instructions the way they are in the booklet, and you're going to press towards the background fabric. So we're going to press with the seams out. And because these have the seams out and the petals have the seams in, we are going to nest very nicely together. Okay, so those are our 4 leaf blocks. So now we can sew together the entire flower block just like we did with the center block. So there were 9 pieces in the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we have 9 pieces for the whole flower block. So we're going to take all of our pieces over to the machine and we're going to sew the whole thing together at once. Okay, if you guys have sewn with me before, you know that I like to lay out my block ahead of time. We're not going to need the seam ripper, I hope, because I want to make sure that it is laid out correctly. So I'm starting with the centerpiece, and now I'm going to put my petals in place, and then I'm going to put my leaves in place. And this way I can make sure everything is going the correct direction and that I have all my pieces laid out the right way. I can also kind of look at my block at this point and decide if I like the way it looks. Do I like where these different prints are, or do I want to shimmy them around? I talked about that a little bit 2 weeks ago when we were doing the barn. This is a non-directional fabric, this mane of floral, but that means that sometimes you're going to have a lot of flowers in the piece that you've cut and sometimes not as many. This is pretty even, but if I had, say, 2 that were lighter on flowers, I would probably put those opposite each other, and then the 2 that were heavy on flowers opposite each other. Same with this kind of thing. Like I've got a bright pink flower on these 2. I'm going to leave that in those positions because I don't necessarily want these 2 to have a bright pink flower next to each other. Again, that's all personal taste, but it just gives my, I like a little bit of a balanced look in a block, and that way laying it all out just makes sure that you can kind of decide, okay, is the block balanced, and do the sections that I have that I can move, do they look good together? Okay, does anybody else do that? I would love to know. Sue is here. She says she's late, but this is the first so long that she's gotten behind, but she'll catch up. Oh, Sue, there's no rush. Okay, so now let's sew our block together just like we did this centerpiece. So we're going to take the first 2 and we're going to lay them right sides together. And because we have handy dandy seam allowances that are opposite each other, these nest up like a dream. So we're going to sew those 2 together. And now we're going to take the first 2 in the second row, place these right sides together, line them up really nicely. And I didn't clip my threads in between and because this way I won't have to worry about flipping, one of my petals blocks and accidentally sewing them upside down either. So now I'm going to take my last row, flip these. I'm going to line this edge up, but I'm also making sure that those 2 background pieces are nested nicely. And now we're going to sew. It takes a little bit, just an extra step to lay out the block this way, but I promise it's worth it. So now we're going to open these up because we're going to sew the last row on this side. And look how nicely those seams, let's see if I can get you without the sun there. Look how nicely those seams nest. Isn't that great? So here is our first 2 sections. So now I'm going to take this one and place it on here, top row, and again lining it up but making sure those seams nest nicely. Just skipping over that, I just took my presser foot up just a bit to make sure I didn't catch that seam allowance. So this is the second row. I'm placing it right sides together on that middle block. When I'm sewing, I sew a little bit faster when I'm not teaching And sometimes I just get geared up. So now here's our last one, and we're going to flip it and put it in place, and just lining up that seam allowance there. Make sure that that's lined up so it looks pretty. Okay, so now we can open these up and we can verify, oh look, we sewed together our blocks in the right order. And everything nests really nicely together. So let's go press these, and then we will sew our rows together. All right, are you guys having fun? Is this helping? I hope that this helps. So we're going to press these. I'm just flipping this around in multiple directions apparently. And I'm just going to verify really quick. So what I have in the pattern instructions is to press these open. So these open, and press these towards the petals. And we're going to go ahead and do that. We can still do that without cutting our threads. I like to do that with these snowballed corners because you've got several fabrics coming together in one place, and if you press it to one side, it does get a little bit bulky. Now, if it doesn't bother you that it's a little bulkier, then feel free to press them to one side. If you want to do that, press them towards the petal. But we're going to do it this way because I like to. Just using my fingernail here to get these seams open. Slightly awkward there. So I've got these open, and these pressed towards the petal. And I'm just using my arm here to hold that down and pressing the last one open. So I've done a good press on the wrong side, and this is especially why I like to press it on the front and the back, because now you can turn it over and make sure everything is laying the way you want it to lay. Give it a little shot of starch to make it behave nicely. I flipped that there. One of my little background pieces flipped. So now I've pressed it on the top too. And look, everything lays together really nice, and it lays pretty flat too. Lori says she tries to balance her blocks as well. Oh, that's awesome, Lori. I'm so glad that that is a good, you like that. Donna says she uses a flannel project board to arrange her blocks before sewing. I'm fussy about the balance in her blocks too. Good, Donna. That's a great tip too. You can use a flannel project board or anything like that. You don't have to use your sewing machine or your table. If you have your blocks on a board, then you can easily take that to the machine as well. So that's great. Teresa says the tips help. That's awesome. Oh, you guys are the best. Oh, and Melanie says design boards are awesome. She's made a lot. Good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew this section and this section together. All we have to do is flip down our end rows, and then we have 2 seams to sew. So let's go sew. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm not missing comments here. Yay! Okay, so I am going to actually snag a couple pins for this part. Because our seams aren't really going to nest as well as they do because we did press this seam open, you want to make sure that it's in the right place. So I'm just going to do a pin on that seam, and I'm just checking this one, and a pin on that seam. The little, actually I can't pick up. The little chain thread does help make sure that you are laying it correct in the right place, but sometimes an extra little pin helps. And I'm also using my thumb and finger to make sure that the top and bottom pieces are nesting, because those we do have opposite seams. So I'm just going to sew, this is sewing the first row to the second row. And when I get to that pin, I'm going to pull that out so I don't sew over it. So we're just going to trug along here. Same thing with this pin. I don't want to sew. These are pretty big pins, the pins that I designed for Riley Blake Designs. They're really big and I love them, but we don't want to sew over them. So I double checked that that snowballed corner was nested before I sewed. So let's open this up and see how we did. Pretty well. Our seams line up nicely and our snowball corners look good too. So let's do the exact same thing with the last row. So we're going to go ahead and open that up, make sure our seam is lined up nicely. And same thing with that one. And then we want our snowball corners to play nice and nest. So those are lined up. You can also pin those snowball corners if you would like the extra security of having those lined up. Or if you decide you want to press towards the background fabric, as I did the first time I made it, then you can pin those as well and give yourself a little bit of extra security at those snowball corners to have them line up. Making sure everything's playing nice here. Pulling that pin out and sewing the rest of that seam. And now we're cutting our fabric, our thread, not fabric. I've said that twice now. So we have a little bit of a glare coming through the window there, but you can see everything lined up nicely. All of our seams matched, all of our snowballs matched. So because we have a lot of fabric here, we want to go ahead and trim off the little loops. Those are our chain loops that we used when we sewed the block together. So, and you can kind of see they stick up from the fabric a little bit. So because I want to press these seams open, I need to clip those threads. So let's go press those open and then we will be done. Okay, here's our cute little block. Isn't it fun? We're going to press these seams open, and I just use a fingernail, or you can grab my flamingo stiletto. That is also helpful when you're opening seams. It just saves your fingertips a little bit. I have fingernails, so I don't have to worry too much about that. So I did mess that one up there. Press that down again. Okay, so now I'm going to do this seam, pressing these open. Again, if you really hate pressing seams open, you can press towards one side, and I would recommend pressing towards the top and bottom, not towards the center. You just have a few extra seams there in the center. So there we go. There is our fun little block. I'm going to do one more little press on those seams just to get them to play nicely and lay really flat. That one had turned. There. We have lots of threads, but that's okay. So there's our cute little block. So now once you make up that, you'll make up two others in the other prints for the row, and that is the center one is this little red barn cross-stitch print. The corners of that one uses this pink little ditzy floral, a tiny little floral there. And then the center of that barn one is the pink gingham that's in the collection. And then the last one uses the same reds here in the center, but the center is that main pink floral, and then the petals are the light pink flower, the tiny flower. And all the leaves are the same. They're all that green cross-stitch barn print. So once you have these all sewn up, then you're going to sew the sashing in place. And note in the pattern that the sashing that goes between the blocks is a different size than the sashing that is on the end. You can see that the end piece is a little bit smaller than the two center pieces. So note that, use your alphabetties if you have them. They're the little letters, or use some kind of notation so when you cut your sashing fabric, your background pieces, that you're able to make sure that the smaller ones, they're all the same length, but the width is slightly smaller. Those go on the ends, and the fatter ones go in the centers. So I hope you guys really enjoy the block. This is a fun flower block to sew together. I hope that sewing it up made it a little bit easier. And you can see that it actually goes up. We made almost the entire block. The only thing I didn't do in the class today was some of the corners, but we did the whole thing in easily a half hour. So I hope that kind of makes it easy for you. And if you guys ever have any questions, please email me, bev@flamingotoes.com, and I'm always happy to help. You guys know that. So next week we have a really easy block. We only have to do 4 of them, and those are our flower basket corners that go, they're the little yellow corners that go in the corners of the flower block rows. So you guys are going to love those. We're going to talk about doing half square triangles with directional prints. I'll have some really cool tips for you. Of course, we'll have another giveaway. Don't forget to go to my teaching and events page and sign up to take a class with me. Come take a trip this summer. Come visit me in Texas this summer, or in Utah in September, or in the Caribbean in March. This is my cruise hand motion. Oh, you guys, this is the best. I really had fun with you today. I'm glad our sound was working and on the sewing machine. And I will see you next week. Don't forget to check my blog tomorrow for the final block in the let me go back to my main. I'm just talking away here. So tomorrow will be the release of the last block in Fat Quarter Shop's Haunted Halloween Mystery Quilt. So you don't want to miss out on that. It's a very fun block. I can't wait for you guys to see it. So thank you guys for tuning in. I've enjoyed hanging out with you. Have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you next Monday. Oh, you guys, before I go, I forgot. I have a new free quilt pattern coming out on Friday. It's a partnership with Riley Blake Designs. I cannot wait for you to see it. It is adorable. If you love farms and barns, you're going to like this, you guys. So check my blog on Friday. I will have that for you. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.